So we have seen trees and plants that grow in plains, which are also known as your deciduous trees, and trees that grow in mountains or hilly areas, which are also known as your coniferous, and then plants that grow in the desert, that is your cactus, then plants that grow in swampy or marshy places, that is your mangrove trees, and that have roots that grow above the ground and hence are known as aerial or breathing roots. And now we move on to plants that grow in the coastal areas. So plants in regions like eastern and western sea coasts of South India receive high rainfall and the water can be salty. So the plants in the regions like your eastern and western sea coast of South India, they receive very high rainfall and the water is very salty. Coconut, rubber and pepper are some plants that grow in these regions. So the coconut, rubber and pepper are some plants that grow in these coastal regions. The trees of such area are evergreen and they usually have a large number of leaves, and these trees do not shed their leaves in winter. So the trees in these coastal areas are evergreen and they have a large number of leaves and they do not shed their leaves in winter. Some common varieties of plants that belong to the grass family are. So let us see some common varieties of plants that belong to the grass varieties: rice, wheat, jowar, bajra, sugarcane, bamboo, etc. The plants of this family provide food for humans and animals. So moving on to some grass varieties, that is the grass family are rice, wheat, jowar, bajra, sugarcane, bamboo, etc. And these plants provide food for humans and animals. So we have seen about plants that grow in your plains, that is your deciduous forest, plants that grow in the hilly or mountainous region, that is your coniferous trees, plants that grow in the desert, that is your cactus, plants that grow in the marshy places or swamp areas, that is your mangrove trees, and plants that grow in the coastal areas that receive high rainfall and the water can be salty. So examples are your coconut, your pepper and your rubber. And the trees of these plants are evergreen and the trees do not shed their leaves in winter and they have numerous leaves on the trees. Next, moving on to the plants in the grass family, that is your jowar, bajra, rice, wheat, sugarcane, bamboo, etc. These provide food for humans and animals. Now a small exercise, we are going to match the trees with its area. So just a small exercise for us to recollect what we have learned so far. So we have on one side we have cedar, we have peepal, pepper, cactus, mangroves and your duckweed. And on the other side we have desert, that is your areas, the desert, marshy lands, mountains, coastal, floating and plains. So the first is your cedar, is your example of plants that grow in your mountains, in the mountains. So we have the mountains. The second we have the peepal tree, it is plants that grow in the plains. So peepal is plants that grow in the plains. Next we have pepper. Pepper grows in the coastal areas, plants that grow in the coastal areas. Next is your cactus. Cactus is a plant that grows in the desert. Mangroves are plants whose roots grow above the ground, so they are floating. Your marshy lands. So mangroves grow in the marshy lands. And duckweed are plants that are floating on water. So this is your match. That is cedar are plants that grow in the mountains. Peepal are trees that grow in the plains. Pepper grows in the coastal areas, cactus grows in the desert, mangroves in marshy lands, and duckweed are floating. So these are the match of the various topics that we have learned so far.